Father Steve here, Episcopal Priest serving the Episcopal Diocese of Maryland. Currently serving two Episcopal churches in the western part of Washington County, Maryland. St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in Clear Spring, Maryland, and St. Thomas Episcopal Parish in Hancock, Maryland. And I just love my ministry and love serving these two congregations. I love the people at both these churches. They're my family. So anyway, this is the study of the book of Revelation. This recording is chapter 5. We're going to do chapter 5. Again, besides the Bible, one of my resources is N.T. Wright for Everyone Bible Study Guides. Revelation, 22 studies for individuals and groups. And I do encourage you to possibly get this book. Now, the other part of that is I do an in-person Bible study and I do a recorded Bible study. So I do an in-person Bible study for St. Andrew's in Clear Spring, Maryland. We do in-person Bible study on Fridays at 10 a.m. And then this is recorded, and the folks at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church of Hancock, they take and watch this recording and they study. The reason I bring that up is that in the in-person, I encourage our folks not to purchase this book unless they think, I mean, I can't tell them not to, but I like all of us to stay on the same sheet of music and not to read ahead. Let's go through this very methodically. But this is chapter 5 of this study, Revelation, chapter 5, what we're going to look at here momentarily. But I want to give you a little what N.T. Wright always writes these in this chapter, always has a little backstory to Wright, and the title of this is Worthy is the Lamb. So this is what N.T. Wright writes. Well, that sounds pretty good. N.T. Wright writes. He says, "We stood and stared at the letter as it lay on the doormat. It was a smart envelope, good quality paper with clear, bold typewritten name and address, and at the top in larger letters we saw the words, 'To be opened by addressee only,' and addressee was not at home. We hardly dared touch it. But supposing the envelope had said, 'To be opened by the person who deserves to do so.' Good question. That would have been even more intriguing and would have posed a different kind of challenge. How do you know if you deserve to open it? As one writer put it, we are all overdrawn at the moral bank. That is the situation at the start of the scene. We are still looking through John's eyes at the heavenly throne room, and it is not simply one long round of endless repetitive phrase. This is the throne room of God the Creator, and His world is not merely a tableau, a living picture to be enjoyed. It is a project. It is going somewhere. There is work to be done." So we're going to look at chapter 5 of Revelation. Now, just go a little background on my notes on chapter 5 before we go ahead and read chapter 5. In chapter 5, we begin to look at the 7 seals and the Lamb. The 7 seals are kept closed so no one is able to know or modify its contents. Okay? Verse 6, in the midst of the throne, this position symbolizes the close link with God, whose knowledge and power the Lamb shares. But also, the Lamb is in the midst of the elders, thus showing how He remains linked to His church, and refer to Revelation chapter 1, verse 13. The Lamb. We know who that is, right? I hope so. This is Christ's main title throughout Revelation. We will hear it 28 times in Revelation, the Lamb. Revelation considers the Lamb as a conqueror who, after His sacrifice, holds a universal dominion. All right, the 7 horns and 7 eyes, verse 6. This is the fullness of power and insight. And each elder held a harp. Verse 8. Harp was a traditional instrument which accompanied the singing of the Psalms. So now we're looking at chapter 5 of book of Revelation, the Apocalypse. So a few questions from chapter 5. So read Revelation verses 1 through 7, chapter 5. What does John see in the right hand of the one sitting on the throne, and how does he describe it? And that's right from the starting gate, verse 1. And again, if you want to pause while you discuss these questions, you can. I'm not going to sit here and stare at the camera for a long time and wait for you to go to the question. Just hit that pause button and then just keep on going. So another question. We rightly guess that the scroll contains God's secret plan to undo and overthrow the world-destroying projects that have already gained so much ground, and to plant and nurture instead the world-rescuing project which will get creation itself back on track in the right direction. What would it take for someone to be worthy to read such a proclamation? What would it take for someone to be worthy to read such a proclamation? Now, I don't want to be a spoiler, but I think you pretty much know that one person who could read a proclamation. Now, the third question here is one that can generate a little bit of discussion. Why does John burst into tears and weep bitterly? Now, look at verse 4. Why does John burst into tears and weep bitterly? And we can go on to that, the second part of that question. How does John's reaction resonate with us as we look around at our world? What is going on? What brings us to tears? There's many things, right? Okay, look in verses 5 and 6. We come to one of the most decisive moments in all Scripture. What John has heard is the announcement of the lion. What he then sees is the lamb. What are the differences between these two animals? Now at St. Andrew's, in my prie-dieu, I have a little figurine of a lion and a lamb, and I put them together on my little shelf. I got that and some little icons and all that type of thing. And pictures of my grandchildren, you know, my wife and I, our grandsons are there as well. But I have a little figurines of the lion and the lamb. So what are the differences between these two animals? Okay. And what does each one symbolize? What does each one, what's the lion, what's the lamb symbolize? Now look in verses 8 to 14, chapter 5. What happens when the lamb takes the scroll? And when we get into chapter 6, we're going to know more about what's on these seals, the scroll. All right, good? All right, now look at verse 8. Why are the elders holding harps and bowls of incense in the presence of the Lamb? Now that explains it. Why are they holding incense in the presence of the Lamb? And what does that symbolize? What does that symbolize? Okay, we're good? Okay, I think that's good. That's a good discussion there for us for chapter 5. And so I hope that this format of the study of the book of Revelation, Apocalypse, is helping. I will tell you that the in-person Bible study that we do at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in Clear Spring has a number of people have increased substantially. Yes, unfortunately, it's retirees or people are able to be there on Friday, but it's been a really good class. I think Revelation is something to not study in a vacuum, i.e. by yourself, to study as a group. And as is with a lot of Bible study, you know this, you're watching, that Bible study cannot go in a different direction, but it's good that we will take and discuss something and go in different directions, and we all bring it back together. And that's what we do in in-person Bible study. And those who are watching, using this as a format, if you're using as a classroom format, it does do you well to take and do Bible study anywhere, but to do it with a group of people. And as I said, with the study of Revelation that I'm doing in person, and either at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in Clear Spring or St. Thomas's in Hancock, I encourage you to not be surprised by the next chapter, but I encourage you to maybe try to stay on the same sheet of music and do this together, and maybe not try to read ahead. I can't tell you not to read ahead, but I think as we do this in more in a crescendo way or a linear way, I think it would be more rewarding as we study it. So anyway, God bless. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next recording, chapter 6.